All 5 original members of Asking Alexandria have joined forces once again to create the band's 6th studio album titled Like a House on Fire, out May 15th. Here to talk to us about the record is Ben Bruce. Thank you so much for your time, Ben. First and foremost, how is your health? How is your family? And are you as crazy as everyone else with this quarantining?
Oh, we're all good. We're all safe, we're all healthy, which I guess is the main thing. But it's getting more and more frustrating, sort of, the longer I'm sat at home. Don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to be spending time with my wife and kids because, when we go out on the road, that's the hardest part, really, is being away. But just knowing that our tour's been postponed and everything we've been building towards for this new record release, everything's kind of just being pushed back and there's no answers. No one has any answers. Like, okay, well, when can we get back to normality? And no one knows, So I think for me, that's the most frustrating part, is just not knowing what the hell is going on.
When? Yes, that is a million-dollar question. All right, so we all witnessed a return to joy and enjoyment for making music and touring when the band released a self-titled record in 2017, Danny's First Back. What was the vibe amongst band members during the making of Like a House on Fire?
This record, so with the last one, the self-titled, like you said, it was sort of the return of Danny. So it was exciting, but it was a little bit scary too, because we had to figure out, do we still have it? Do we still have that connection we had? So there was like almost like a learning curve, just relearning each other, me and Danny in particular, as writers, as people. Whereas with this one, that was all done. We've been through that phase. So this was exciting. This was just, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And, we were super stoked every time we got to go back into the studio to record. And it kind of felt like, I guess the best way to describe it was, it kind of felt like when we were doing Stand Up and Scream again, like our debut album, because there were no bars. When we did that record, it was whatever we wanted. And there were no expectations. There was none of that. And it felt like this again. We were just doing it for fun, doing it for ourselves. It was probably the most enjoyable experience I've ever had creating a record, if I'm honest.
You already know you're going to be getting the, Asking Alexandria sounds different comments. It's standard at this point for the band. It's standard. In your opinion, what makes Like a House on Fire unique in sound, but also recognizable? Because you were kind of looking back to some earlier works, from what I understand.
Yeah, I love how that you say it's standard now, because I feel like you're right, completely accurate. Every single time we've released a record, and as you mentioned at the beginning of this is our 6th album. So every time you've ever released a record, people are like, you've changed. And I'm like, yeah, no, like you do change. And now it's become a thing where people go, look, bands mature, people grow. And now it's become a thing where people say, I hate when people say that it's down to maturing. It's, well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it is. We're not the same people as we were when we were 17, 18 years old, when we were doing Stand Up and Scream. We have changed. We have matured, and we've got different life experiences. We've got different things we want to address. And that's the beautiful thing about music. You can go back and listen to it. It lives forever, So when you're feeling particularly angsty and angry and rebellious in your teenage years or what have you, Stand Up and Scream will forever, ever be there for people to listen to, and I think if people listen to our records, we've always been super honest with ourselves and sort of addressed what we've been going through. So Reckless and Relentless we were drug addicts, essentially, and alcoholics, and it was a very dark time in our lives, and you can hear that in the record. It was very dark, it was very moody. A lot of the songs were about drug addiction and alcohol addiction. It's, and people are like, oh, Reckless and Relentless is my favorite. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to go and get myself a drug addiction again so I can play music that's up to your standards. It's not where we are in our lives now. So Like a House on Fire is just where we are in our lives. We're addressing things we've been through. There's a song on there too called What's Gonna Be that I particularly love. And it's not like a single. It's not like, oh, this is definitely going to hit the radio, or, it's not one of those songs. It's just a very personal song about the band's journey and the journey of us with our fans that addresses where we started and living in a parking lot in Walmart and to where we are now and where we want to continue going. So it's a very personal record. I don't know, if people sit there and go, it doesn't sound anything like Alexandria, it's just not It's not true, because every record, whilst it has been different and it's been an evolution of the band, it's been a steady evolution. You know, we haven't changed overnight. It's been a steady evolution of the band as we've grown older and as we've had more life experiences. And so you can always go back to the record before and hear similarities. And with this one, I will even go as far to say that you can go and listen to Stand Up and Scream and hear similarities. Sure, there's not loads of guttural growls and screams and just open breakdowns, but a lot of things that made those songs, you know, what they were on Stand Up and Scream, the huge soaring choruses and the huge electronic elements, they're all still here on this new album 6 records later. So, you know, when people say bands have changed, they're just not listening, because bands do evolve, they do change, they do write about new things. But at the end of the day, it's still, like you said in the beginning of this, it's the 5 original members of this band. It's still the same core group, you know, so it's still us writing the songs, and we are who we are.
There truly is a song for every mood on Like a House on Fire. And I wonder if that is at all connected to the change in the creative process. Like this time around, you all worked on new music while playing arenas with Shinedown and Papa Roach. It wasn't as rushed. So maybe on any given day, you were all in a different headspace and it's reflected in the music, or maybe it was a conscious decision. You tell me.
It is exactly, I think, the environment that we were in. I think for the first time ever, this was one of my favorite aspects to writing this record, is we were playing these huge arenas and these huge rooms and amphitheaters with, you know, Shinedown or Papa Roach, or playing these huge festivals. And when you go out and you play these shows, you know, when we were younger and we were in clubs, you know, you would constantly hear Danny and other frontmen of the similar genre saying, I want to see violence, I want to see mayhem, I want to see this, and this. And that's what the music incited. And that is just not where we are anymore. We don't want to see violence. We don't want people leaving with bloody noses and broken bones. It just does not sound like an enjoyable time. We want people leaving going, wow, I'm tired. That's the loudest I've sang in forever. I had the best night of my life. I can't wait to do it again, you know? And when you're playing these arenas, and you're able to stand on stage and see sections of your songs where there's 15,000 people singing at the top of their lungs, or 15,000 people in unison bouncing up and down and smiling and having a good time. It's like, wow, why would we not want to capture that and continue this feeling forever? It's the most insane thing to experience, both for the band on stage and the people in the crowd. You know, it's a rock and roll show. So when we were writing this record, we got to do that. We got to go and play these huge shows and go straight into the studio, and we had that energy. We were still riding that high from these live shows, and we were able to inject that into the songs in the studio. And then we would take a break from the studio and go back on a big tour, and the same thing, you know. So we kept getting ourselves, we were being refilled, refueled, and recharged with this insane energy of these crowds, and it was amazing because we got to just take it straight back into the studio and pour it onto a record. And so while the songs, I think, sound amazing on the record, obviously I'm super stoked on the songs and how it came out. I think they're going to find a new life when we play them live, and it's going to be even bigger and better than the actual record. And I think that happened with the Violence too. When we released the Violence, you know, a lot of people loved it, but there were a lot of people that were confused and like, I don't get it. This doesn't sound like asking, as usual. But as soon as we started playing it live, people were like, holy crap, this is insane. The energy of this song is nuts. And we started opening our set with it. And from the get-go, people were bouncing up and down, singing along. And the song, like I said, it just found a whole new lease of life. And now it's one of our, in fact, it still is our biggest streaming song that we've ever released. It's just killing it, and people love the song. But I think for a lot of people, it was like, it clicked when they got to hear it live, and they're like, oh, okay. And I think that's going to be the case with a lot of these songs. There's songs on this record that I think we're going to see people in the crowd crying, you know, when we play songs like I Don't Need You or something. And then there's other songs that we're just going to see people losing their minds to and singing. And I think, you know, They Don't Want What We Want is going to be one of those songs. And AntiSocialist is just nonstop energy. So I think once we can finally tour again, it's going to be a pretty special period of time in Asking Alexandria's career.
So let's talk about the songs a little, because I did have the opportunity to get an advance copy of the record, and I very much enjoyed the roller coasterness of it all, starting with House on Fire and They Don't Want What We Want right off the bat. Mayday, Mayday, something's very wrong. Then on track 3 and 4, there's this kind of pulling away and pointing fingers. Gotta ask you about AntiSocialist. We've been playing it often on this show, so if you can tell me a little bit about how it came together and lyrically, whatever you'd like to share.
AntiSocialist was a really fun one. Again, it came from we were touring, we were playing live on these big shows, and one of the highlights of our set every single night, without fail, was the bridge in Alone in a Room. As soon as we played that big bridge towards the end of the song, the whole arena, no matter what city we were in, erupted into just this huge pit of energy. And it was insane. And every night we would look forward to getting to that part of the set. We're like, it's coming, boys, it's coming. And we'd be so excited. So AntiSocialist, we were like, okay, I want to capture that energy and, have more of that. Because, again, we're thinking about live shows. And it's like, how can we keep this energy up in the set? And so when we started writing AntiSocialist, that's sort of the mindset we were in for musically for that song. And then I was sat there and we were thinking, like, what did I used to listen to when I was a kid that just got me going, that just really excited me and was super easy and relatable, super easy to sort of digest, and you don't have to think very hard about it. And it just was a fun song. And immediately my mind went to Limp Bizkit and break stuff. And I was like, man, that song, there's no deep, special, hidden meaning. It is what it is, and everyone has those days where you're annoyed or you're frustrated or you're sad or you're anxious and the day's just been and you're annoyed and you just want to say f*** off to everyone or stick your fingers in the air and be like, oh, today sucks, I'm over today. And that's basically what that song is. It's just like people go to rock shows, in my opinion, to let loose, to let off steam and have a good time. And that's basically what that song embodies. It's just supposed to be a song where you can let loose, just stick your fingers in the air, forget about your problems, and have a good time. And I think that's what rock and roll is all about, especially the live show, like I said. So there's no hidden meaning. There's no crazy hidden story behind it. It's literally just a song so that you can have a good time. And it ended up being the perfect anthem for what's going on currently, I think.
Every day in quarantine. Yeah, every day in quarantine is a big middle finger and ragey. So yeah, it actually is absolutely perfect. The next song is track 5. You kind of touched on it. I Don't Need You. You're right. Love it. Beautiful song. It turns to kind of embrace the independence, the self-love on that one. Who is the female voice on that record?
Her name is Grace Grundy. She's an up-and-coming English singer-songwriter. She is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you've heard her voice. Everyone's like, man, how did you get Halsey on your album? I'm like, nope, not Halsey. It's the actual English singer. I think she just has such a smooth voice, and she's so good. And my wife was watching a television show. I say my wife. I was watching it with her, but don't judge me. Called Love Island. Which is an English reality TV show, and I think they've got an American version now. Anyway, this voice kept coming on in the music, and I was like, who is this singer? It's amazing. So I Shazammed it, and Grace Grundy pops up. I'm like, man, this chick's voice is unreal. I was like, I would love to work with her in some capacity. So I reached out to her, and she was like, oh my God, like, I'm a huge Alexandria fan. And I was like, well, that's f***ing handy, isn't it, for me? And we ended up getting to talking, and she's a big fan, and obviously I'd become a big fan of her. And so we did I Don't Need You together, and I personally think it's my favorite song Asking Alexandria has ever written. I love the song. It's a beautiful song, and when you write a ballad lyrically, a lot of the time it's, oh, I love you so much, I can't live without you, I'd give you the stars and the moon if I could, blah, blah. And this is almost the exact opposite of that. Mm-hmm. It's a ballad, but it's almost, like you said, a self-love ballad. It's talking about those relationships that you want so badly to work out, but they just don't. And that's okay. You need to know and understand your self-worth, your own worth, and know that if that person's not the right one for you and they can't see everything that you have to offer, then it's okay to walk away, and you've got those memories, you've got that life experience under your belt, But most importantly, you need to look out for yourself and be happy and confident with who you are. And I think that song touches on that beautifully.
Yeah, she's such a great addition to the record. And not that you asked, but that's my favorite one on the album, track 5, when it comes out, y'all. It's called I Don't Need You. I love that. By track 6, we are feeling ourselves, right? It's that I've come out the other side of it. I'm going to be stronger because of it. Track 7, take some time. We're now the strong one and we're ready to play. That's the sexy song people are going to do dirty things to. So the question is, can you have a track 7 without completing track 3? For me, anyway, it kind of felt like the first half of the record told its own story.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it is a bit of a roller coaster of an album, you know. And I think I don't think you can have a track 7 without a track 3. You know, I think it's almost like it's come full circle. Track 7 is really sleazy. You know, stylistically, it's not the same. It's not the American average, but this record's not the American average. Again, it's just a fun, sexy song. You know, I think rock and roll is supposed to be about having fun and letting off steam, like we've discussed. And I think that song, Take Some Time, is exactly that. And not only is it the sleaziest song on the record, but I think it's got the sleaziest guitar lick too. The bridge in that song is it just sounds so 80s sleaze rock. It's just perfect. I love it.
It is. It's a perfect fit. There's several songs that are seemingly, I would say clearly about the band. I'd say Here's to Starting Over, track 10, track 11, What's Gonna Be, as you touched on. What was that story you referenced about a Walmart parking? There's a line in the song, something about a parking garage. What's the story there?
I can't remember the line. Something about living in a Walmart parking lot, wasting away. It's a true story. Like I said, we've always been a very honest and open and true band. And when the band formed, we moved to America and we had no money, we had no record label, we had no nothing except for a dream. You know, we were 5 young kids, we were teenagers, and my parents and Danny's parents ended up splitting the cost of an RV for us all to live in. So we bought an RV and we literally lived in a Walmart parking lot. We lived in Walmart because it was open the longest. I don't think it was a 24-hour one, but it opened the earliest, so we could wake up in the morning, brush our teeth, use the toilet, and then we lived in this RV and we traveled. This was in New Jersey, and we traveled around the tri-state area just trying to book shows, any shows. And we pretended that we were some big band from the UK, and when promoters hadn't heard of us, we kind of made them feel stupid, like, what? Have you not heard of us? Aren't you in this line of work? And it would always turn to, oh, no, wait, sorry. Yeah, of course I've heard of you guys. Yeah, come play my show. I'd love that. Hilarious. You guys can headline. And so we used to go and headline these shows across New Jersey, New York, PA, and it was just stupid. It was so dumb. I remember we bought T-shirts in that Walmart and paint, and we painted our band name on them. We made our own merch from Walmart T-shirts and sold it. And that song, What's Gonna Be, talks about that journey. It talks about when we came here, we had nothing except for each other and, you know, our passion and our dream. And the song walks you through our career up until now, you know, and we're talking about what's going to be is going to be. And we've never been more, you know, at peace with ourselves, and we've never been more confident and sure of anything in our lives. And, you know, the sky's the limit. And I think it's cool because we're telling a very personal tale in that song. But there are so many kids and people with a dream that just maybe don't have the confidence or the support around them to pursue the dream. And it's kind of like, you know, a little kick up the ass to people, like, look what we did, look what we've been through, and look where we are. We never gave up. And hopefully, you know, it just inspires people to do the same, just to follow their dream and carve their own path.
After that track, we start to look forward towards the future. It gets really hopeful. I actually wanted to ask about the last song, though. It's called Lorazepam. And I was wondering why why do you rap on a song about a benzo pill?
Basically, the song is about just going through life numb for some reason. You know, it just touches upon the fact that everyone has problems, everyone has things that they're going through, and it gets to the point where sometimes it just feels like you're just going through life medicated. You know, you're just kind of going through the motions. And that song specifically, again, because we are very honest and open, we're singing about real things that are going on in our lives. So Danny's sort of touching on the fact that, you know, he is successful. We've had a great career. He's got nice stuff. People, you know, want to meet us, and everything is awesome. but then why do I still feel this empty void in my heart from time to time? Why are we still sad? Why do we still go through things? And, people say all the time, like, oh, well, you've got all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but stuff doesn't necessarily bring you happiness. Everyone has difficulties that they face. And that's basically what this song touches on. It's just, life should be perfect. We've worked really hard. We've got friends. We've got family. We found love. We're clean. We've had a nice career. Then why do I still wake up sometimes and hate myself? And I think that's a really powerful lyric in the song, and he addresses it. It's like, why do I still feel like shit? Why do I still hate myself? And he says, I'm not an addict, but I sometimes hate myself because we don't do drugs or anything anymore. And so I think it's a really, really powerful song, and the message is so poignant and so powerful that we wanted to keep the music as simple as humanly possible, so that the tale itself is just straightforward for everyone to understand, so that the chord structure never strays in the song. It's the same thing over and over and over again, sort of like 9 Inch Nails meets Smashing Pumpkins, almost. But lyrically, it's a really, really powerful song, and I think, I hope people listen to the lyrics and really take on board what Danny's saying, because I know initially when we handed it off to our label, they were like, why have you made a song bragging about the fact that you have nice cars and nice houses? It's like, okay, you completely missed the point and actually haven't listened to the song at all, if that's what you're taking away from it. And they went back and listened and went, oh, shit, never mind. It was like, yeah, it's... So that's actually one of my favorite songs on the record. And for a long time, we were like, man, should we put this on the album, or is it too left field? Are people going to go, oh, and just listen to what it sounds like, and again, have a temper tantrum about what it sounds like instead of actually listening to the song. But, we decided it was a song that we all really loved, and we really enjoyed writing it, creating it, and we felt like the story and the tale was a good one to share and put out there, and we thought a lot of people could relate to it, because I think a lot of people wake up sort of loathing themselves and quite miserable and upset, and really aren't even too sure why. They're just like, why do I feel this way? And so, yeah, I think it's the perfect way to end the album.
Interesting choice. You couldn't part with the song, which seems to be a theme, right? 15 songs in the new record. That's a lot of songs. That's something new for Asking Alexandria. Why not save a few for Asking Alexandria 7?
Just because we just didn't see the point. Like, I'm constantly writing music, so it's not like it doesn't take a lot for me to get in the mood and the spirit and the mindset to write, because I just love writing music so much. So we had all these songs, and they all have different things. We have so many different things we wanted to share, and there are songs that haven't made the record that I'm still like, man, we should have put them on the record and just had an even longer record. But the fact that we do like to stay honest to who we are and write about things that we've been going through. If I were to write music now and save it for record number 7 when I'm in a completely different headspace, it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't have the same meaning behind it as it does now. So, we just like to put music out that's honest and open, and the story of where we're at as a band when we're there, so that we can go on stage every night and it's like, it's fresh. This is what we've been through, and everyone's along for the ride with us. But there is a song, I will say, called Miles Away, that didn't make it to the record, that is probably one of the most incredible songs we've ever written as a band. And we wrote it for he was my best friend and our guitar tech. He passed away a couple of years ago, so we wrote the song for him, and his mum heard it and was like, I love this song so much, do you mind if I come and be part of the song? And so we were like, wow. Of course not, like, amazing. And so she came and she did a spoken word segment over the bridge of the song, and it was so powerful. Whenever we showed it to anyone, it didn't matter if they were the most macho of men, or a record executive, or a manager, or a friend, or a parent. It didn't matter who it was. They immediately started crying as soon as Chris, his name's Chris, Chris's mum came on, and ultimately our team was like, guys, you can't put this on the record. It's too deep. It's too much. And I'm like, but that's the point in music. It's supposed to move people. And they were like, yeah, well, this moves people too much. He's like, my manager was like, I cannot listen to the song again, ever again. It made me too sad. I think I cried like a year's worth of tears out in that one 3.5-minute song. it's deep, and so I'm still really upset that it hasn't made the record. And we did another version of the song that has a guitar solo over where Chris's mom talks instead, just so it's kind of a less brutal song. But it's a very meaningful, important song. So I definitely want to release it at some point. So when we can release it, I'm not too sure. But, so there are songs that haven't made it to the record, even though there's 15 tracks.
I wish when it does get released, if it does get released, that it would be with his mother on it. I think that is insanely powerful. Would love to hear it. You know how
Isn't it insanely powerful?
It is. It really is. I would love to hear that. And you know how it is, like, you never know when a song is going to be the perfect fit for another project. So that one, I gotta believe is going to see the light of day at some point because it sounds magnificent. Just a couple of random questions for you. You've been so generous with your time. Thank you. And I'll let you go. These are a little bit silly, but where do you write your best riffs? Because ever since I heard Vinnie Paul share that Dimebag Darrell, rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell kept a guitar in the bathroom because, as Dime once said, why do you think my riffs are the shit? I always wonder where the magic happens. Where do you do your best writing?
Man, honestly, for me, my guitar is never too far away. It's always somewhere. Like right now, we just moved into a new house, and one of the first rooms I set up was like a studio/office room that's just for me upstairs. And, I'm stood here now, and I've got 4 guitars staring me in the face, 5, 6 guitars, 7 guitars staring me in the face. So there's guitars everywhere. So, I don't really have somewhere I particularly go to write. It's more often I'll be doing anything. I could be watching television, drinking my coffee, and I could be halfway through a conversation with my wife, and I'm like, oh, be right back. And she's like, oh, for f***'s sake. And I'll run upstairs because a riff has just entered my head. And it's normally, for me, it's when I'm not thinking. If I have to sit down and someone go, okay, write a riff. Well, what do you mean? Write a big riff. I'm like, what? Like, that's not how that works for me anyway. So for me, they kind of just come out of nowhere when I'm definitely not thinking about music, or I'm not trying to write music. They kind of just come, like I said, at the most inopportune moments. I could be halfway through a movie. It could be date night. I could be out with my wife. We have kids. We're expecting our third. So date nights are super important in our family. And we could be halfway through a conversation at dinner. Like, oh, babe, I'll be right back. And I have to run outside and make a note in my phone, like a voice memo, because a guitar riff, for some unknown reason, is just come into my brain. So for me, it's whenever I'm definitely not thinking about music is when my best sort of riffs come to life, I think.
Well, congratulations on the new home. Congratulations on the upcoming third baby. And congratulations on having a very patient wife.
I know. She's very patient.
I recently came across this Loudwire piece. It was about you giving some love to a Russian band. They did a cover of Moving On. Do you remember the first song that you learned / covered when you were honing your skills? I know you were like 5 or 6 when you picked up a guitar.
I think one of the first things was actually the James Bond theme tune, the boom, 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 boom. Just because my dad bought me home an electric guitar one day, and he didn't play guitar or anything, and he just heard it by ear, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so he showed me it, and that was like the night I got my guitar, first time I ever touched a guitar. But my first real riff, there were a few, Smoke on the Water was one of the first ones, but I think the first proper guitar lick and riff I actually learned for myself was Last Resort by Papa Roach, which is so surreal because, when we just spent so much of last year touring with Papa Roach, my parents called me and were like, holy crap, you've done it. And I was like, what do you mean I've done it? They're like, you've made it. You're on tour with Papa Roach. Because it's all I talked about when I was a kid. I always decked out in Papa Roach merch. I used to play Last Resort over and over again. I used to make my parents listen to all their records. And I was like, Mom, I made it a long time ago, okay? And she was like, no, you've just now made it. And I was like, to me, that was so cool to see my mom and my stepdad so excited because they raised me. They saw me as a kid just fall in love with music, and they saw how passionate I was. And I would share all my favorite bands and favorite music with them, and I would make mixtapes for them to listen to, and it was all bands I loved. And so I guess Papa Roach just stuck out in their minds as the band that I went through a particular phase on when I was a kid that really took me to that next level and drove my passion for writing music and playing guitar. And so it was really cool to see my parents get so excited about a tour I was doing.
That's
and
cool.
It being 10 or 11 years into my career.
You know, their perspective changed on Papa Roach. Like when you were a kid, they were like, if I hear Last Resort one more time,
One more time,
kill this kid. And now they're like, yes, Papa Roach, taking them on tour. Love it, love it. All right. So we'll just wrap on this. What can you tell us about the North American Like a House on Fire tour with special guests Falling in Reverse, Wage War, and Hyro the Hero? It was supposed to kick off April 30th in Phoenix. What is the latest?
So obviously that sucks. We actually held out for a really long time, sort of praying for a miracle. Obviously never came to. We knew that this was going to be a thing, so we rebooked the tour, rescheduled the tour. It takes a lot. You can't just be like, oh, we'll move the dates. You know, you have to make sure that all the venues are still available. So it takes a lot of work to rebook a tour. So we rebooked it for a few months afterwards, so it wouldn't be too much longer afterwards. And so we have the dates booked, they're ready. We just still aren't able to announce them just in case things get pushed further. So currently, our team is in the process of booking the third version of this tour, even later on in the year, so that no matter what happens, we can try our best to make this tour happen. We're just waiting, obviously, like everyone, patiently to hear when we're allowed to sort of get back to normality. We have no idea when that's going to be. But just know that we've not just, said, the tours we scheduled and we're sitting around. It's been rebooked now for the third time. So we've got dates lined up. We're not allowed to share them yet because we don't know when we're going to be allowed out. But we're very much planning on continuing this tour and we're super excited about it. I know Ronnie from Falling in Reverse is super excited about it. And, it's going to happen. We're just not too sure when. But we are excited to continue to do this tour. And I think there's been some talks of trying to arrange for Falling in Reverse to join us in other areas of the world too, if things line up and are possible. So we're trying to make the Like a House on Fire tour a global thing when we're all allowed out of our houses again. So we're working hard behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Yeah, Popular Monster doing really well for the band. It's good to hear that postponed, not canceled. That's what everybody wants to hear. All right, so Like a House on Fire out May 15th. We'll keep you posted on those dates as we get the information. Ben Bruce, Asking Alexandria. You gave me so much of your time. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, Ben.
Thank you so much. You take care.
You as well. Thank you.